Ulysses, no one else can... Oh, hello. You just caught me in the middle of singing the theme song from Ulysses. Anyway, hi, I'm Craig Warrack, and I'm here today to talk to you about cosmic consonance. Now, sorry, hang on a second. Hello? Stephen, look, I'm in the middle of something. Right, hold on, calm down. Go on. So, well, why are you with the Avengers? Well, it doesn't make sense to me either, but... Yeah, I can see that, but... Well, why did you give the eye to him in the first place? Sorcerer Supreme, fuck off him! Well, he couldn't even hold down his own miniseries, so he probably deserved to explode. Stephen, that's not me having a go at you. I know you can't hold down your own series either. Look, I can't talk to you when you're like this. Look, I'm going to hang up, okay? Oh. Right, just stop that. Look. Go get Wong to make tea, and just calm down. Well, Christ. Well, just untie him then. Yeah, and take the plug out too. Oh. Sorry. Yes, today I'm here to talk to you about cosmic consonance. Which is funny, because this guy represents cosmic consonance in the extreme. We all think Marvel Legends are great, don't we? Well, that's true. But there's always good and bad, chaos and order, posh and scary. So there are some shit Marvel Legends, and I am here today to hammer down on those shit Marvel Legends. Come here, let's take a look. So you take the good with the bad and you preserve the order of all things. That's the lesson from Adam Warlock. He's a good place to start today because he's a Hasbro figure, and you'll see that a lot of the figures that I'm going to show today and sort of rant about are not Hasbro figures. Hasbro has made, I think we can all accept that they've made consistently poor figures, and they've killed one of the best toy lines that's ever been created. Hopefully they'll manage to pull that back over the next couple of years, but at the moment they've killed it. So, you know, they never made a really good figure, or they made very few of them, so I'm not going to show a lot of Hasbro figures today because, well, there's no point, they speak for themselves. Also today, I have no criteria for what makes a bad figure. This is just my personal feelings. If you don't agree with them, that's fine. I'm not saying your opinions are wrong by any measure. So yeah, I'm just here to have a laugh and point out some of the things that I hate about this toy line that I actually love so much. So here we go. Omega Red. As good a place to start as any. He's actually a pretty good figure. I can't fault them on his paintwork or his sculpting or anything. He's really good in that respect. He's a little tall. You can just compare him to the terrible Adam Warlock here. Yep, I don't know how tall Omega Red is, but you know, that's part of it. Why do we have a figure of Omega Red? Of all the X-Men villains that were needing a figure, we got Omega Red. Sure, he was in the Children of the Atom video game and, you know, in the video games after that, but I mean, really, I don't get it. Why? And at the opposite end of the scale, we have Lady Deathstrike. She's quite an important, not really an X-Men villain, well, I suppose she has the Reavers and all that, but more of a Wolverine villain. And what should have been a great toy, but whoa, yuck, this thing is disgusting. They chickened out. Well, it's a toy line, so they chicken out and they paint on a really crap vest when she doesn't really wear one. She's got these, I don't know what these are. Like, they're obviously meant to be like tied up cloth, but I suppose if you're going to deal with it, you deal with it that way. But you rotate her arm and it points up in the air, and you know, what a great chance for individually articulated fingers. But no, we get this, and the worst part apart from her general looking like a turd outfit, is this face. She's supposed to be, well, I don't know if she's supposed to be, but in the comics they always draw her as amazingly hot, beautiful, and it sort of, it contrasts well against what she's done to herself. She's this beautiful woman, and she's, wrecked her body for revenge and created a monster out of herself. But like the face, it's just I don't know what to say about it. It just there's no paint effort gone in there at all. She looks like, I don't know, if you had your entire face pulled off by a dog and you had to, I don't know, you're meeting the Queen the next day, so you had to quickly make one for yourself, so you just bought one of those shit masks out of Hobbycraft and drew it on with a felt tip pen. That's what it looks like. And if there is anyone who's been in that situation where they've had to create their own face because the Queen's coming to see them the next day, this is a perfect example of what not to do. And Lady Deathstrike brings us on to the other women of the Marvel Legends line. Not all of them are completely terrible, but there was just... Toy Biz struggled with making the female form sort of work for figures. They had a lot of concern about where they put the cut lines for the joints and how to articulate it while still maintaining that sort of sleek and slender look. Now, this is an area where Hasbro have actually whipped Toy Biz quite badly. I've got Emma Frost up the front here, and I've changed her head to make her somewhat acceptable, but when she came out, it was a devastating blow for all of us, because she was dog ugly and her body was very emaciated and thin. But Hasbro have definitely improved, and they've made really nice female figures in the recent 2 packs. The Maria Hill body is really, really good. But yeah, so I'm just showing Emma here. I don't know if this is one of the ones that Toy Biz sculpted and then it was just released by Hasbro, but anyway, I don't know the ins and outs of that. Emma Frost is one of I would think the easiest women to get right. She's the sort of cookie cutter porn image of beautiful. It's hard to comment on beauty across all these different sort of figures and the characters, but Emma Frost is just the standard blonde, big tits, small waist, dresses like a hooker, and has got this brilliant personality, and she's just a really good character. But for some reason they missed out all of that in her figure. She's got a thin waist, but she doesn't have big tits at all, and she wasn't beautiful by any measure, and she had this really sort of anemic skin tone, which I've tried to fix here, but you can only do so much. And her articulation was pretty shoddy as well. Well, it's not that bad. Anyway, so that was Emma Frost. As I said earlier, I'm not really here to go on about Hasbro, because they don't need any assistance in making fools of themselves. So you'll notice that some of these figures, like we've got Black Cat back here, I hated the female figures so much I've foddered most of them. Black Cat is just here as an example of an early struggle that the Toy Biz had with the female form. They really struggled with the legs articulation, and they used this sort of hinge joint, which DC Universe actually use now. But honestly, this is just when I bought the figure, and then that was one of the worst things I'd ever seen. The way her butt cheek is separated. Her butt cheeks don't even touch. Now, in the circles I travel in, that's a very bad sign right there. But she's just horrendous, and so they did accept that, and I remember them writing about it somewhere or reading about it on the internet, and yeah, so they came up with, I think the next body they used was must have been this Jean Jean must have been next. Fine. I mean, she's definitely an improvement. Got these really weak hands, really sort of chipmunky face. Yeah, and just these sort of saggy tits that, you know, her neck's all the way up here and her tits are coming down here. Yuck, I just don't like this figure at all. These sort of curling toes. Ugh. And even, you know, they could have sculpted the top of the boot so it would rotate round with the rest of the leg, but no. Honestly, I can't stand this figure. And then we've got the Black Widow, obviously foddered her arms there. She had this better like articulation. They kind of made like a bean-shaped sort of joint, which was a bit better. But then when you saw this, it's something you didn't really notice with Jean, was this horrendous neck. I mean, ugh. She's supposed to have the plunging sort of neckline there, but no, all you can see is this joint. It looks like she's been smoking to, I don't know what it's called, she's got one of those holes, like, I don't know, Juno out of Beetlejuice or something. Then we had, I guess Storm was around the same time. Now Storm, don't get panicking, I think she's a good figure. I think she's a really good figure. What the hell is she wearing? Like, I know, like, they later made an X-Men Classics one that was white. I know she's worn something like this, you know, with the lightning bolt down it. But this is, you know, this isn't her legendary costume. What? I honestly don't understand why they did this. It made no sense to me. The white one is better, and the white one had the hole for the stand, which I suppose hadn't been invented at this time. But yeah. I don't understand this. You know, it looks like she's wearing a trash bag, a bin bag. It's just horrible. It could be leather, but it's all saggy. I don't get it. And then we have Mystique and the Scarlet Witch, who are more or less the same body. This is another thing. You know, they've got these thin joints, and this one's, you know, it's breaking there. And I've certainly not moved her much because I couldn't stand her. Just needed was it the Galactus part, Sentinel part, whichever. Sentinel, I think. Okay, this sort of really elongated torso, and the separation between her, I don't know, her body and there's a joint underneath her tits. Oh, it's just, I don't know, it looks like an old woman resting her tits on a coffee table or something. They just sort of sag down. Oh, it just gives me the boke. That means makes me sick in proper English. And Mystique again is supposed to be smoking hot, but I don't know. This looks like Richard O'Brien with a mop. It's just not a pretty sight. And then we've got poor old Wanda. She didn't have a good time in the mid 2000s. But yeah, this is just, again, it's got that same sort of old woman tit thing going on, and just a dog ugly head with a massive spam forehead, and yeah, and like a non-expressive cape. It looks like a tablecloth that someone's just cut a hole in and draped over their shoulders, and there's nothing you can do with her, you know. And just this outfit, I know it was probably her current outfit at the time. There's no effort. There's no buckles or anything, but just such a disappointing figure. And, I mean, the crown sits so high up on her head, and the flat shoes. Jesus. Right, okay, anyway, let's keep going. Doctor Doom and the Human Torch from Series 2. Now, Marvel Legends was still in its infancy, so you can forgive them a lot of this, but I'm a massive Doctor Doom fan, so there's really not many figures that I'm happy with, but I thought the Hasbro one was far better than this one, and that's a sign right there that something's wrong. This guy was small, he was short, I don't know, he didn't have much single jointed thing, elbows and knees, no body articulation beyond the waist, which, does he even have a waist articulation? Oh, there we go, look. Yeah, he's been standing still for so long. This rubbish small pointing finger, which I know is for his gun, but look at that, you put the gun in the holster and it just bends. Imagine pulling that out in a fight, how embarrassing. And yeah, all Doctor Doom figures, right, if you're a toy maker, please listen to this. Do not have your figure with a removable mask. We never see Doctor Doom's face. If we do, there's some trick behind it. We never take off his mask and say, oh, his face is disgusting. Oh well, oh, actually, oh, it's not that bad. I wonder why he wears the mask. You know, we don't know what his mask, what his face is like. He says it's ruined, but we can't trust him on that. So, could have a small scratch, could be totally whatever, could be a robot. Anyway, just don't do that. Yeah, the whole figure is just really small and weedy. And the Human Torch. This, you know, you're onto a difficult sort of thing at first. How do you convey a guy that's on fire in plastic form? I don't know the answer to that, but the answer certainly isn't like this. You don't just paint loads of black lines on them. He may have looked like that in the comics, but come on, that was the 60s or whatever, and that's just the way they thought to do it. It doesn't mean you have to do it. And he didn't have this big crap 4 on him, and also his face, like, he's got these pointed features. You know, Johnny Storm is supposed to be a really good-looking guy. I don't think there are any really good-looking guys in Marvel Legends. Even, you know, Hawkeye turns into a freaking ugly bastard. But yeah, it looks like someone sculpted his face and was like, yeah, that's finished. Oh no, I've just put my finger in it. Oh no, his cheek's all caved in and his nose is pushed over to one side. No one will notice. We'll just paint loads of black lines on him. And he's got this thing, a pet peeve of mine, that the fist that's like that with the fingers that open. What does this hand do? What's that meant to do? Is he so he can be manimal? Why do they have that? I mean, it's either a fist or it's a pointless open hand. Just have a fist. And oh, look, his legs don't even go together. Oh, and he had that, you know, the Nate Gray pre-Marvel Legends base with him that he didn't even fit into. Honestly, that's just crap. I was so disappointed with that. Still bought it though. Moving on. First appearance, Spider-Man. This, I think, was actually maybe the first Marvel Legend that Spider-Man... No, he had one in the Urban Legends box set. But okay, so this was the first proper original sculpt we got for Spider-Man. And it was rubbish again. His legs can't go together. He's not really very posable. He's got these sausage fingers. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with the figure. I didn't get the point, and as the first Spider-Man we really got single carded, that was poor. Cyclops from the Sentinel series. Cyclops was well overdue a figure, and you know, this rubbish is what we got. An old costume that wouldn't fit in with really any of your other legends you would have standing along with him. Articulation is fine apart from this big hunk of plastic body. The massive boots he's got, there's like comedy pirate boots, and oh, and his visor's really big and huge. I know people will say, oh, Cyclops' name is Slim, and but that was his name when he first started the X-Men. He's been a superhero for decades since then. I think he's buffed up a bit, but not to this sort of level. And the paint application on him, like, I know that you use a wash when you want to bring out details, but there's no sculpted detail to bring out here, and the wash just sits on it. It looks like he's, I don't know, been flushed down the toilet or something. He's just covered in dirt. He's just horrible. A really pointless figure. And here's 3 of my least favourite Hasbro figures. I knew I wasn't going to use Hasbro much, but they do deserve a mention. The Black Knight. I mean, it's not that bad a figure. Generally, it's got a lot of unique sculpt in it, and it's for Hasbro that's very respectable. But it just highlights the company's huge problems. It's the lack of any kind of paint application that's been done by a human. You've got these sort of sprayed on things, and yeah, just the armour. It looks like what it is. It looks like plastic. He's got these grey plastic arms. They don't look like chainmail or anything. He's got a sword that kind of just goes in here. It doesn't go in a scabbard or anything. At least they got the colour right, strangely enough, for a sword. But yeah, and even the costume he's wearing, it's his Heroes for Hire costume. It's not by any means a legendary classic costume. Poor. These guys, well, this one in particular doesn't need any introduction. It's David Duchovny in drag. In general, I don't like the movie characters creeping into the lines. This one was just, you know, it would have been fine. The costume, I don't mind the costume. I know everyone's going to go, oh, that's ridiculous. I quite liked X-Men 3. But yeah, this is just the figures. It's just ugly, and it's just poor. Again, no paint applications that mean anything on it. And finally, Ultimate Wolverine. Like, we needed another Wolverine, and Hasbro must have thought, oh well, this will be a sign if the line's dead or not. If we put in a Wolverine and he still sells badly, then that means that there's no demand for the line. Yeah, well, you know, if he looks like shit, because this figure is just, again, no paint applications. His face, I don't know, he looks, I don't know who it is it looks like, but yeah, I think Ultimate Wolverine's supposed to be younger than his 616, and this guy is just ugly, and his claws are just like these sort of, they taper at the wrong end. Should they not be thick at that end, they're thin at that end? How's he going to get that in his wrist? And it's this Wolverine thing where the claw is longer than your actual forearm. If it goes in there, you can't bend it. Oh, anyway, look, just enough foddered him as well. I hate this guy. Next we have Thor with no legs. Why did they sell Thor without legs? No, it's nothing to do with that. It's I cut them off for my Hercules costume. Okay, Thor is just a really disappointing figure. One of those sort of weird ones. They don't seem to fit in with the rest of the line. They're like a different style or something. His head doesn't really move at all. And he just, I don't know, he looks like he's watching some troubling news on the telly or something. He's just, and the inside of his hands, this super smooth. And this one's for holding the hammer, and I don't think this one can, because it doesn't close enough and it just falls out. So what the hell is that? Why is it all smooth on the inside? And this rubber piece, that I don't know what the figure was originally, but just the bit that fits over the chest, it was just really disappointing. Those single hinged elbows, just, I don't know. He looked like he's supposed to be a really early Marvel Legends figure before they sort of decided they were going to have like everyone in the same scale and same articulation and that. It's just, no, not very good. And it's all well and good talking about the early Marvel Legends, but here's a very late one. Iron Lad from the Young Avengers. There's no reason this figure should have turned out horrible. His articulation is just awful. His arms can't, I mean, that one doesn't really go anywhere. And it's like you're going to snap the arm if you try and move it up. He's got this joint in the middle of his chest here, which, like, it doesn't do anything, and he can't swivel his waist because of the sculpt, and it's got a clicking. His legs, he can't really rotate them. He doesn't have anything at his lower leg, doesn't have anything mid-thigh. He's got the sort of ball joint there, again the sculpt hinders it. He's just really, I mean, fair enough, he's maybe a bit like a teenager, really lanky and thin, but the costume in the comic was, you know, it was smooth and it just looked really good, and this is just a really sort of garbled, horrendous figure, and the paint is, I don't know. The rest of the box set was pretty good, but this was just, I don't, ugh. Loki, another, I don't know if I talked about it already. Something that really gets my goat is when you know, they're doing this sort of Marvel Legends line, everyone tends to fit in, and then they come out with this sort of specific artist's take on the character from the Loki miniseries, and you know, he's all sort of haggard, which is, yeah, it's a good representation of that. But is that what we usually see Loki like? You know, he's usually got his mad manic grin or some sort of scheming face, and he isn't all haggard and old. He's, I don't know, he just got that standard youth about him. And the costume is very, probably more believably medieval, but you know, the Asgardians are space gods. Their medieval doesn't really figure much into them, apart from their ridiculous attitudes. And then they did actually give him an alternate head, and they based his face off some Jack Kirby art, and it was just, again, really, really ugly. Yeah, poor. The horns were pretty good in the extreme, though. I really like how enormous they were, really stupidly Asgardian. But yeah, that's just the face was ruining that one. We've already seen the Black Cat, but here's 3 other guys that are just being poor box set fillers, really. Venom, who needed a Marvel Legend so badly and properly done, and they never gave it to him. He's just, you know, he's got the saber-tooth body, fine. It's the body's alright. It has weird, it just looks generally a bit weird, like very square, and the head is just really, it's really boring. It's just, it's no version of Venom. And then you've got a stand which shows, you know, oh, wait a minute, that's what Venom looks like, not that. Why have we got this? I mean, he's got these because of Sabretooth. I'm not going to go on about them, but it's a reused body. But and he's got the grey veins. I'll get onto that later. So yeah, he was poor, and we've got another box set tragedy, Kraven the Hunter, using the Namor body with very little articulation in the torso, and this sort of he looks like I don't know, an Italian off of a ragu advert or something. Who's he's not angry, he's not, I don't know what he's doing. He's got these really wimpy arms. He's just, yeah, garbage. And then, honestly, just don't put him in the box set. He's like one of Toy Biz's 90s figures, and he was good at the time. Like, good at the time, but look, I mean, look at that waist. He just don't put him in the box set. Just leave him out. He's not a Marvel Legend. He's just, you know, don't polish your turds and sell them. That's general business advice now. Next we have the Vision. He's not actually a bad figure at all for the Vision. It's just one of my pet peeves of Marvel Legends is these suckers. The big ball shoulders. I don't know, they just, I mean, I appreciate that they're for, you know, characters who maybe have to raise their arms up above their head, and it preserves the sort of joint. It just doesn't look really good, though. I don't know what more to say about that. Some guy that suffered from this as well, controversial. This guy, honestly, look at those big ball shoulders as well. Like, he's got a lot of original sculpting around his legs and hands and that, but you know, I've got to say, the fan wank over this figure is just, it just makes me want to be a contrarian and just, you know, not like it. I don't really like Deadpool as a character anyway, although he's been quite good in Uncanny X-Force recently. But yeah, again, he's got the ball joints there, and he came with loads of accessories and stuff. But yeah, I was just never taken with the character, so the fuss that's made about the figure is unwarranted, I think, really. Yep, and also on a final controversial point, we've got this guy. Oh, I'm going to have to move my camera. Now this guy is certainly big, and that was impressive to receive for a figure, but man, I don't know what to do with this figure at all. He's just I don't. Okay, we'll just break it down. Go from the top. His helmet is like a torpedo or something. It's just sticking too far up. His arms, like, they're going down to the middle of his lower leg. Bizarre, sure. Juggernaut shouldn't have very human-like proportions. He's a big monstrous guy, but it just, you know, it's great that they want to make him big, but it's like they made him big and then they realised, shit, we can't actually produce this, or we can't fit it on the card or whatever. Let's just start taking out like length from his body or length from his legs. But yeah, just leave his arms, because his arms don't affect his overall height. And then they just end up really long. I don't get it. The when he's got the helmet on, I mean the helmet should be just a bit less of a torpedo basically. His face underneath, his head looks enormous. I mean, he's all in just the proportions in general. The expression is just weird. But yeah, it's not that bad. What really gets me about this guy is this waist, this sort of, I can't say waist because it's halfway up his abdominal muscles. What kind of articulation is that anyway? What is that meant to be? I don't get what it does. I mean, it helps him rotate, but why put it up there? And what's with this sliding to the side and forward and back sort of thing in such a clean cut? It's like he's got a stick shift to get him going or something. Oh, I'm in reverse. Okay. And I get this guy. He was, I think, Venom and Cable suffered from this as well, when for whatever reason they decided, hey, you know what would make his, the sculpted detail on his veins look really good? If we made them grey. So I don't know, who has grey veins? What is that? It just makes him look like a zombie or something. Do not really get this figure. Impressive because of the size and because of the sheer audacity that they tried it. But yeah, he's got these fists as well, where you can't really make a fist. It's kind of excusable because he's got the bands of Cyttorak anyway. But yeah, don't get it. Honestly, don't get it. And it's, fine as a figure, I could ignore him. Not much of a Juggernaut fan anyway. I could ignore him, but again, it's just the general consensus that he's, one of the best legends out there, which I think is, I don't know, certainly doesn't match my understanding of a good legend, but I've not really told anyone what my understanding of a good legend is. Maybe another time. Yeah, so that's just some of the things that I don't like about Marvel Legends. It doesn't change my opinion of the line as being the best toy series that's ever been made. And I don't want it to change your opinion about it. If any of these figures are, the ones you like or love, that's great. Don't change your mind about it. It doesn't matter what I say, just go ahead with it. But, if you guys have, there's a Marvel Legend or any figure or anything about action figures that you have a pet peeve about, put it in the comments. It'll be great to have a discussion, or see what other people think. Or if you disagree with some of the things I've said, put that down in the comments as well. I'm open to accepting that I'm talking shit, or or that I'm completely wrong about some of these things. Okay, so thanks very much everyone for watching.